Hello, welcome to our CWTC Get Connected Community Podcast, where we share experiences, promote services, create health awareness and highlight opportunities available for residents of Oldham. Climate change is no longer a distant threat, it's happening here and now. From rising sea levels and extreme weather to threats to our food systems and biodiversity, the impacts are global and personal. But it's not too late. By changing how we live, consume and care for our area and the planet as a whole, we can still shape a more sustainable, resilient future for generations to come. Joining us is our guest Asif Iqbal, who is a health and wellbeing consultant from Blackburn, to speak further on this topic. Asif, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, sir.
How are you?
I'm okay.
We go back a long way when you used to be a arts and music director and you used to deliver some workshops, music workshops.
In schools and across Lancashire.
Not too long, is it? Yes. It's
good
to see you
good
again.
Old days.
It's good to see you again.
You too.
So you are now into climate change, but before that, can you tell us about your career and what you've been up to?
Well, as you know, in the 90s, which you spoke about before, we were involved in, taking the culture out into the schools, into the community, where we saw a need, and raise awareness of cultural issues. We worked together for quite a number of years. I transitioned to looking at health and well-being of the community because I saw in our community there's a decline in the South Asian community, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, these kind of syndromes that were affecting the community. And especially as you know me from over 20 years, you saw that my own transition from having high weight gain to where I am today, I shifted from a non-healthy lifestyle to a healthy lifestyle, which actually changed. And
you're looking well.
Thank you very much. Which really changed my whole outlook. And I wanted to help other people as well. That it is achievable, and it will be very beneficial for you if you can make those changes without medicine and these kind of things. So I went back and studied at university for a degree. I came out with a postgraduate master's degree in physical fitness, in health and nutrition, as well as exercise science, so the whole package. And then I worked for an organization called Healthy Living in Blackburn for quite a number of years, and then I branched out with the partnerships with pharmacies, which is where I'm at now, to promote health awareness and healthy living lifestyle in the heart of the community.
Well done. And, lots of experience there.
That's correct,
Thank you. So in terms of your interest now into the climate change, how's your understanding of the climate change has come about over the time?
If you look back into the Earth's history, climate, Earth is a dynamic system. It's not static. So it changes from day to day, from hour to hour. And over the millions of years of the Earth's history, there's been ups and downs. So if you see a graph which goes over, say, 500 million years of the Earth's history, you won't see a straight line. You'll see it going up and down.
Fluctuating all the time.
So it's a dynamic system, as we call it. And therefore, there's, differences in, the Earth's atmosphere, the composition, the carbon dioxide, etc. So it's no big deal, There has been big changes in the past.
And as we see now, there's lots of, speed and the scale of the recent changes that's prompting us to discuss and, work around the policies to make the changes.
We see that, but it's no different to see any period of history that you'll see big floods, big volcanic eruptions, bigger than what we see now. In fact, we don't see hardly any volcanic eruptions, but in the distant history of the Earth, and even in medieval times, we used to hear about big volcanic eruptions, which had a big impact on the climate.
Of course.
Natural things that are nothing to do with man. So what today's climate change is about what is the man's impact, or humankind's impact on the environment. But nature takes its own course, you see.
So what ways are local and national government policies actually influenced by climate change concerns?
Really,
and how effective are these policies, do you think?
Yeah, they are quite heavily influenced in recent times. We see, clean air zones to, electric car charging stations being, put up. Blackburn has recently gone as far as investing millions of pounds for so many charging stations. I think there's more charging stations than there are actually electric cars at this moment in time.
That's
so
good. Yes.
The thing is that electric cars and these technologies are very expensive. They're out of the range of people by and large. So, the investment, I think, is not suited to where we are at the moment, you see. And they're looking at it with a narrow focus. Whereas if you look at the Earth's climate, it settles out over time. There is no need to panic. You see, even if we do panic, the Earth has its own, temperature, its own climate, its own system, which, we can and cannot influence. But there's only so much we can do.
So in terms of these policies, do you think they're just symbolic or are they very practical?
Some are symbolic to appease a certain group of people. And we see, eco kind of climate, activists who push for these by doing all sorts of things, lying in the middle of the road, stopping buses, stopping, normal day-to-day life. So people take these extreme actions as well. And I think the loudest voices are getting through.
But the fact is, it is very challenging to have, have a balancing long-term goals, really.
It is, because, we've got this net zero, which I'm not going to talk about a bit. But, that's a very ambitious target by 2050.
2050 goal, isn't it?
2050, they want to go to net zero. Now, you see, the other problem is climate science is not an exact science. So it's based on predictions. So you may have a goal of 2050, but you may not meet that. You may miss that goal because it's not an exact science.
But at least we are stepping towards a positive outcome.
They are and they are not, because what the thing is that the impact or some of the projects that they have in the pipeline are not going to be beneficial, you see. And they've been in the papers recently about blocking the sun. We don't get very much sunshine in this country anyway.
I hope not.
And they are actually already invested £50 million, the government, for experiments to actually...
That's new to me.
Is it? Right, well, there you are. So they've announced that, and it was in the Guardian newspaper as well as quite a lot of the media. And it really,
I think some of these countries will be selling sunshine very soon.
Yeah, that's right. So who stands to benefit?
When we talk about the real story behind the net zero carbon agenda, explain to us, what does that mean?
It's like these big government policies that come around every 10 years, 20 years. They make a big policy announcement to just capture the imagination of people. But the real impact on people, you see, we don't see any benefit, any economic benefit of those. In fact, it will be detrimental, because we are told that we should have more solar energy. Now, solar energy works from the sun. But on the one hand, if you're trying to block the sun, then what good is that technology?
It needs to be very well thought of.
Very well thought of.
I think we can talk about gas emissions, which we can all try and control.
That's right. I mean, since the 1990s, there's been a great emphasis on, lowering carbon emissions and, these pollutants. And Britain has done extremely well, actually. It's way ahead of where it was in the 1990s, and has made a big impact by reducing its emissions by 58%. And that's through cleaner technology. And that is the way to go. Engines that were guzzling out these emissions in the 1990s to today's engines, there's a big difference. So why not keep that, approach, which is affordable for people as well.
That transition has to be fair, isn't it?
That's right.
Especially for workers and the communities.
Absolutely. and people are not at that stage where they can actually invest thousands of pounds that is needed to go completely carbon neutral or the green agenda. We're not at that stage, and we're being pushed. Why people are being asked to give up their boilers? How will we heat our homes? There's no practical, real solution for that. But it's take away this, but there's nothing to replace it that is practical and viable.
Well, hopefully we're able to, look at these strategies because policies means looking at these strategies to help that transition. So in terms of the criticism that, the push for decarbonisation, is it impractical or economically damaging? Any light on that?
Yes, it is economically damaging, and there's a lot of studies being done that have pointed towards that, especially those countries that are developing countries are called, they need access to fossil fuels to go through industrialization to get themselves to the economic standard that the West has enjoyed, or the first world countries so-called. But the thing is, if they're not allowed to do that, then they will never develop, and that technology which they are being asked to purchase is out of their reach. And so the only way to get that is to go further into debt, which will be detrimental for their population. So that's not a good solution for them to take on more debt from the World Bank or these kind of places and indebt them countries.
And inevitably it will affect jobs.
That's right.
And the drive up cost in short term.
Oh yes, as we've seen in the last few years only, how fuel prices have gone up. For both domestic and industrial use, and we've seen those go sky high, and people are always complaining about the cost of living. That is part of the cost of living. That hasn't gone away. So we need to address that, and the way to address that is not by taking away people's right to exercise, using something like a gas boiler to heat their home or central heating. There's nothing else to replace it with.
And one of these solutions would be to invest in the greener jobs?
Greener jobs which are viable for the population, you see, that they can really benefit from, and those technologies must benefit the people as well. So it's not just, offer people greener jobs, but they need, to have a solution that's long-term and viable.
The Earth as a stable planet system that we have and we should preserve.
Of course.
How does these strategies, policies, that's going to help our climate strategy?
It depends what you mean by help. You see, to give you an example, I mean, the Earth's carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere is about 400 parts per million. Now, that might sound very small. People don't know much about what percentage is the Earth's atmosphere. But in the past, it's been up to 2,000 parts per million and 4,000 parts per million, and the planet survived that. So we're at the low end of the spectrum, if you know what I mean. It only takes to go below 200 parts per million to cause an ice age. We don't want to go to that. Are you with me? So we're at the low end, actually, of the spectrum of, where carbon dioxide has been throughout the lifespan of the Earth. And so we're not at catastrophic levels where we are always pushed, alarmism. We hear a lot of climate alarmism, climate emergency, and these hyperbolic kind of, words are used. But it doesn't justify that, because we're at the low end of the overall carbon spectrum.
So the impact is really is happening now, and is to manage it responsibly as a society as a whole. I think it's so important to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I said a few minutes ago that climate science isn't an exact science. So we don't know what
it's changing all the time.
It's changing all the time, and we don't know what is driving the climate change. Because not only on Earth is the planet warming, but the other planets in the solar system are warming. So there's no human activity on those. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So in America in 2007, there was a Senate committee meeting, and a paper was published to look at what is causing climate change on the outer planets.
Yes.
What is what is driving that?
Yeah.
So could that be the same driving force that is driving the Earth's climate?
Yeah.
So it's not a given that it's all down to human activity.
Yeah.
You see, there could be other factors which are not being considered,
Yeah.
and everybody's just saying, well, we must stop
Yeah.
humans from living their lives the way that they're going about it, without considering many other factors.
A lot of research and studies needed.
And that's right.
And it is happening.
Yeah.
It is happening, and we're talking about it, which is good. Do you believe the language of a climate emergency helps motivate action?
It helps motivate action in the wrong direction, I believe, because it has created people who are driven by panic all the time.
Yeah.
And
that's what we don't want to create.
We don't want to create panic, So people do all sorts of things like go into an art gallery and throw paint on paintings, which you've seen, or take those kind of extreme actions.
Yeah.
So that is something we want to avoid. We want rational and logical thinking behind this, climate change, and to have debates, to have discussions. Some people don't even want to have a discussion over this. They say it's a given, and view you in a negative light if you have the opposite view. So there should be more discussion around this, an open discussion.
So do you think we should be pushing for policy and funding?
Yes.
To have these discussions and how to make these changes.
Yeah, especially as it affects people's health and well-being, you see, which is what I was saying. The sun is so important, the sunshine, for our health and well-being, especially South Asian people, because we suffer from a lack of vitamin D.
Yeah.
The only way the body can make vitamin D is through the sunshine. And on average in Britain, we get about 4 to 5 hours. So Britain is considered a country where sunshine is a low, limited. We don't get very much, and what we get is very precious.
Yes.
So there are projects underway to actually limit the sunshine that we get, and that's what really caught my attention. And I said, which way are we going really with this? We're going to a very extreme direction, which could impact people of South Asian origin with brown skin, because we don't get enough sunshine to keep our health and well-being intact.
So it's a matter of combining urgency with empowerment.
That's right.
The field that we're trying to create.
And that's right. And there should be more seminars, I believe, through organizations like yourself, through conferences, bring people together, create that awareness, and give them the empowerment to make these decisions, to engage locally with the council, as we did in Blackburn recently, to take part in a consultation, so you can have your viewpoints heard. So when these consultations take place, you really need to make sure you have your voice heard and tell them how these things impact you, what they're planning for you, because they're planning now for the next 50 years. Do you want to be part of the conversation, or do you want to be?
We have to, because it's the future for our young people.
It is. And that's the future.
We can't leave them without really having a good future.
That's correct.
The environment we should all be living in. Celebrities have done a lot to create a bit of awareness, and from media to political groups as well. So is that helping to create awareness of the climate change that we need? Is it better or worse, do you think?
I think if you look at their lifestyles, they're not the ideal ambassadors to talk about climate change, because
if you're driving a jet or something, and
private jets, driving big cars, and then going to a climate conference and saying, you little people must do X, Y, Z to limit your carbon footprint, when they have got a gigantic.
You have to take action yourself.
Yes. So they're not living a lifestyle that is very convincing to me to make those changes, because I see them and I say, well, you can afford that, You
have to be very ideological, really.
That's right. So they're more ideologically driven than, real issues driven,
You mentioned about this the South Asian community, a bit more awareness around their involvement in the climate discussions. What success rate have you had of course, being South Asian yourself, what findings have you sought and you can share with us?
In Blackburn, I've created a group actually, which meets once a week. It's called the Discussion Forum.
Excellent.
And recently, last month, we had a meeting with our council officers who are in the environment department and involved in climate change.
Excellent.
Because these policies will impact the kind of houses you can build.
Yes.
The kind of cars you can drive. So we call them down that you're doing this consultation and there isn't a lot of awareness. So can you come into the community and talk to us? So they came down and discussed with us what they are thinking of implementing and how they're going to shape policy.
And one shouldn't think it's the Western issue, powers, Western powers.
No,
it's everybody's issue.
Yes, for everybody. And so we wanted to get involved and we engaged with them and gave them our views. And that's what I wanted to encourage, that in other towns like Oldham, where there's a high South Asian population, Rochdale, Manchester, they too should take the lead initiative and get involved in local
maybe you can help us,
Absolutely.
If we can bring the communities together here with your expertise and the people from Oldham Council. And people who are interested, or not interested, who should be interested.
Who should be.
We can have a consultation or a awareness session here or a seminar here.
I'll be more than delighted to take part in that.
Thank you, sir. So, in terms of what would a more balanced and people-focused climate conversation should be, so if we have this, what should it look like?
Like I said, you've got the ideal setting here to hold conferences, seminars, workshops, all these kind of things, and produce more literature that shows people how they can take action, how to create their awareness, build their awareness, and give them the confidence and empowerment to actually engage. Because right now, the South Asian community is nowhere near the level it should be to engage in these policies and programs to have a say in that, because there's a lot of money is available for them to have more suitable houses and jobs, etc. With the green agenda. Are they taking advantage of that? So to build awareness, that is what is required through seminars, workshops, conferences, and build a movement,
And it's about co-creating solutions, isn't it?
Of course.
And no question is silly, no suggestion is silly.
Absolutely.
It's about participating in the study, in the research, and something would trigger and it would make the difference.
People need the right information, the right knowledge to have and make a difference.
Unfortunately, we come across services who has the will to do things, but culturally there's lack of understanding or the translation, interpretation. So we go out our way really to help services who especially come to work with us and facilitate ensuring that people who cannot speak English well, they can be engaging and involved. Is there anything that we have missed today that you would like to add?
I think we've covered a wide range of topics and a wide range of issues. I would just encourage our communities, from all communities really, but especially from the South Asian community, because we need the sunshine, we need the environment, so that we build good immunity.
I just remember the song, "Give Me Sunshine."
Absolutely. Yeah.
I won't sing it, but anyway.
Absolutely. So we need them to come out and give their opinions. Their voice needs to be heard, and really engage in these processes and programs for their ultimate future, and have a say in that. That's what I wanted to say.
Lovely. And I'm sure we'll be talking more in detail as we're now aware of your good knowledge and skills.
Thank you.
And to bring into Oldham especially. What do you think of our facilities here?
I think it's marvellous. I think it's a very good community asset that can be put to good use with the sort of thinking that we are on common grounds about.
Lovely. Thank you, Asif. for coming and
my pleasure
to our studio from all the way from Blackburn, and it's good to see you. So hopefully we will be running some sessions here or a seminar and getting all the communities together here with the help of the Oldham Council and our community organisations. And please take part in it, and don't forget to come to CWTC for great opportunities for learning and engagement, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Take care.